From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to the WHTC Morning News for this Wednesday, July 15th. It's time now for A Farm Life with a Farm Wife. It's presented by Farm Bureau Insurance, Markup Agency at 477 Chicago Drive, just west of US 31 in Holland. Call Mark now for a quote at 396-5728. That's 396-5728 for Farm Bureau Insurance, Mark Hop Agency. We are joined every first and third Wednesday of the month by author and blogger Diane Loew, known as A Farm Wife. Diane, good morning. Hope all is well at the farm.
Good morning. All is well.
We will talk farm stuff with you in a little bit, but today Diane has a special guest, and so I'm going to throw it over to you, Diane, and let you carry the ball, as they say.
All right. Good morning, James.
Hey, good morning.
How do you pronounce your last name?
My last name is Muffett. It's like Little Miss Muffet with 2 T's on the end. So
okay. All right. For everybody who doesn't know Mr. Muffett, he is the president of the Citizens for Traditional Values, and I'm kind of joining with them on a project, so I thought I'd have him come on and help explain everything about it. So first of all, what is Citizens for Traditional Values, James?
Well, we're an organization in Michigan, right in Lansing. My offices are here, maybe a couple of miles directly west of the Capitol in Lansing. And we've been around, founded in the mid-'80s, actually. We're, I think, the longest existing multi-issue, sort of more conservative Christian group in the state. And I started out as a field coordinator back then became the president, and have been involved with this organization ever since. So we're a nonprofit civic league that's designed to promote what we call responsible Christian citizenship, so that people are informed, educated, and people understand how best to maximize their voice in the public conversation. And so we do everything from legislative briefings, issue tracking, monitoring legislation, lobbying within the legislature, and then we have a campaign school that we've been running since 1995, I think. Even some of our state leaders, like the Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley, was a graduate from my campaign school, for instance. It's called the Political Leadership Academy. And we've had dozens and dozens of people go through that and then go on and get elected to the state level leadership. And then in the election years, we run a program called Pews to the Polls, which is designed for people of faith who normally, go to worship in church on Sunday mornings, but closing that gap with our earthly citizenship to make sure that we actually go to the polls on Tuesday and vote in an informed way, so that we understand who the candidates are, what the issues are, and hopefully an increase in the percentage of voting within that community will result in good leadership. So that's our kind of elevator speech for what we do.
Okay. The Pews to Polls. That's
Yes.
one of the reasons why I had you on, because
Right.
That's a project I'm helping with. And as a dairy farmer, we've been able to help some food banks. We got 3 coolers in with like $1,500 worth of dairy. We've gotten dairy boxes out to several food banks. So dairy farmers, and all farmers especially, love to help our community.
Right.
So I'm getting involved in this Pews to Polls. And so do you want to explain that a little bit more, as far as I sent out about 250, maybe 240 letters to churches in Allegan and Ottawa County, trying to explain it in my words. And can you explain it as far as what we're looking for with the church cooperation and how that works?
Sure. And everybody knows most churches avoid politics like the plague, right? Because it can be very divisive, and in this culture, in this climate, man, oh man, people are at each other's throats on politics. So a pastor, church leadership, has a very difficult role, because Jesus said, render to Caesar, right, and render to God. So we have responsibilities as citizens in our heavenly citizenship and our earthly citizenship. So it's important that we do that. And actually the New Testament is full of admonitions to for God's people to be good citizens, right? I can't go into that right now, but so it's a tough situation. So what we do is we encourage pastors or someone within the church to serve as a liaison for citizenship. Nonpartisan, you're not taking a party, a label,
Yep.
not one candidate over another, that you're on the side of somebody and you're advocating for that person. But that church liaison then becomes sort of a messenger for information. Voter registration is a big deal, and you can do that in a nonpartisan way. You don't have to have a candidate or a party representative do that. And when it comes to voting, candidate information, there are tons of candidate comparison sources. CTV does this in the general election, but a lot of other groups do it in the primary election. So our goal is to have the church liaison inform the congregation under the pastor's leadership of just what the differences is in the stances of the candidates. Again, not advocating one over the other. And then during the final couple of weeks before the election, of course, now with absentee ballots, that timing has certainly been moved up a lot. But then to call through the whole church list and say, hey, did you see the voter guides? Are you going to the polls? So we're encouraging people of faith to be good citizens, to do their job, not to vote for someone, not to vote for a party, but to exercise their privilege. I call it a privilege. Some people call it a duty to actually vote. And so it's really that's it, and that anyone who wants to serve as a liaison, we have a whole church liaison training that we do. And I know that you've been through that, Diane, or I think you've been through the coordinator training, right?
I don't know what I've been through. I just
okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And if someone's interested, that they can, in your area, obviously you're going to be serving as the, sort of the area coordinator, the geographical area. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
So basically, we're just getting information to the people and encouraging them to get the information and make a decision on their own and help them to get out to vote. Yeah,
and emphasize it as a really important thing to do. I mean, a lot of people think, what difference can I make? I'm only one vote. It doesn't matter. Politics is all bad. Everybody in it's corrupt. Or I just, I'm focused on other things and I don't pay attention to that. We got a primary coming up on August, first week of August. How many people are paying attention? It's not getting a lot of news out there, right? People are just, and so this job, this liaison, this citizenship is emphasis is meant to say, okay, guys, pay attention. We've had House races in Michigan, for instance. I mean, there's 110 House seats up in Michigan right now, all throughout the state of Michigan. And those 110 members vote on issues that affect all 10 million people who live in Michigan, every one of us. So this is kind of my definition of politics. I want to just get this in there because people think it's bad. One of my students once told me politics is poly means many and ticks are blood-sucking animals. We just stay away from it. It's not very healthy, right? So my definition is a public conversation about very important issues leading to decisions that profoundly affect every one of our lives every day.
Right.
If you put politics in that definition, who's going to say, well, I don't want my voice to be heard in the conversation, or I don't want my opinion to be heard in the conversation. I'm going to, stay out. So I think it's important, and especially when it comes to things like regulation and taxation and some of the moral issues and some of the social issues. I mean, if you stay out of it, you pretty much have no ground to stand on to complain about anything that they do.
Right. So if somebody wants to get involved with the Citizens for Traditional Values, but they don't have an affiliation with the church, they don't want to be involved with the church, they just happen to be conservative. Is it such a churchy group that they aren't going to be comfortable? I mean, are they going to fit in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we target churches because that's a place that citizenship participation tends to be lower. So that's our focus, is try to increase that percentage of people who actually pay attention and go to the polls. But the issues that we stand for are across the board for anyone. So if you belong to a civic group, or if you belong to, a school, or if you're in your workplace, anyone can do this role, right? In terms of informing people on here's where the differences between the candidates stand, number one, here's how to get registered to vote, number two, and the encouragement to go to the polls. So yeah, we have people of all religious stripes and even non-religious who share our same issues, but our election year focus is on churches.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, the pews to polls. And
Right.
There's obviously more to the citizens to traditional values besides the pews to polls.
Absolutely.
So if anybody out there is interested, you
Mhm.
can message me, and then I can pass on your information to other people.
Mhm.
And I did, like I said, send out letters to Ottawa and Allegan County. And I probably didn't have a complete list. So if anybody is out there that would be interested, let me know the name of your church and I'll try to make sure that we get some information there. So other than, calling and getting involved,
Mhm.
and the things that we've talked about so far, has there been any one dramatic thing that the group has accomplished that you can say that, because we worked and we informed people, we were able to do this, or this?
Well, I mean, we've been involved in dozens and dozens of issues, both legislatively and ballot questions since the early 90s. I mean, I was one of the guys that co-wrote the marriage amendment in 2004, for instance. And our group was big in collecting the signatures, and a number of pro-life initiatives we helped push over the top. But I'll tell you what, I want to leave you. I don't have a lot of time. I want to leave you with a negative example that I think will be motivating for everyone. I had a good friend who ran for the state house, very conservative district. Whoever's going to win the primary was going to win the election, the general election. And she campaigned and did a really good job. And she ended up losing by 1 vote.
Oh, wow.
in the primary. And so she, when you lose by that small a margin, you can call for a recount. So she asked for a recount. Recount was done, and she ended up losing by 1 vote again. Okay, so it stayed the same, didn't change. And then she found out there were 3 or 4 of her family members who had promised her they were going to go to the polls and vote, and they didn't.
Wow.
Some of these races are decided by very, very, very small margins. And so we always talk about every vote counts, not in every race, the ones that are won by big margins. But some of these, so anyone, you can never say my vote doesn't count. And I don't think I would have been a part of the next family gathering with those folks.
Oh, yeah.
That would have not have been a pleasant experience.
Right. So whether the people who are listening or watching, now that we've got this wonderful Zoom,
Yes.
If you are at all inclined to want to have something to say about how your state is run and
Mhm.
how your children are going to be so-called raised within this community and all the
Yep.
things that affect all of us, send me a message. I'll get you more information. And even if you don't get involved with this, get out and vote. Primaries
Absolutely.
are coming soon, and get yourself educated, and let's all get out there and do our part.
And if anyone's interested in learning more about our organization, taking a look, it's called ctvmichigan.org. Spell out Michigan, ctvmichigan.org. And that will, everything that we've just talked about is there on that website.
Okay.
Diane Loew, James Muffett, want to thank you very much for both of you for joining us today on WHTC's Morning News for the Farm Life for the Farm Life segment. James, good luck to you and the organization. We'll put links to your organization when we put the podcast up on our website at WHTC.com. Diane, I'll talk to you in about 3 weeks.
All right.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Thank you very much for joining us on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.